Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this really focused webinar. This is on document management related businesses. So, document management apps are quite unique where there are workflows, and when these apps are put on AWS, there are a lot of different kinds of efficiencies that can be built. And this webinar is on that, on what are the initiatives that have helped us. In these past few months. And we are just going to quickly cover 3 to 4 such initiatives which can help you save time and money. So let's quickly jump directly into it. Vijay, let's go ahead and get started.
Thank you, Sanju. Welcome everyone for the webinar. We have close to 35-40 minutes in this webinar. So we'll first look at the snapshots of initiatives. This should give us a good overview of what all initiatives can be possible, and this is all what we have done for our customer. Uh, so, but this is agnostic to even document management application. This should be applicable to other applications also, at least some part of it. So the initiative number one was about moving the document storage. And those who come from an old world understand that people have been using databases, RDBMS for storing the documents, not very efficient in retrieval, not efficient in version control. And
This
with
was
this,
just to add one point on this one. So when we look at the definition of document management, storage comes as the very first thing, and Amazon S3, as you might know, is the very first service from Amazon. The very first service started in 2007-8 was Amazon S3, provides enterprise grade storage. Still, it was really to our surprise that many people still don't use Amazon S3. So it might look like a very basic one, but it's an important initiative we have implemented very recently for some companies to really make sure that all their documents are in S3 so that they are stored in a secure and reliable way. Okay. Yeah,
thank
Vijay,
you,
go.
Sanjay. Thank you, Sanjay. And we'll get into detail of each of these in the subsequent slides. But just this is a snapshot on all the initiatives. Another was, one is about move the document text search to text search solution like Elasticsearch or OpenSearch. Again, they were all embedded into the databases with the SQL queries and all. Now moving to Elasticsearch, and it can be AWS hosted Elasticsearch, it can be your data center. But in this context, it was an AWS hosted Elasticsearch where it helped with the customer experience. Again, we'll get into more details. Third one was about and in this customer case where they are you know leader in the document management and workflow automation space, the application integrates a lot of third-party ERPs. Now, the traditional choice had been to integrate with each ERP one by one for each customer, right? Custom integration for each customer because they'll always change, slight change in the integration pattern. Now, what we did is we created a hub, gateway, and made sure that all the adapters are created which integrates with different ARPs, and there's a single point integration with the application. I mean, hub and spoke model, right? But this really helped the customer with the support turnaround time, 50% reduction in the professional services cost and whatnot. I'll again get into the architecture and how we did it, but super saver and helped the sales pipeline to be really put into execution mode very quickly. Fourth one is about move to serverless for workflow execution. And with AWS serverless, services as well as the lambdas, we could help move a lot. And I'll give a couple of examples around OCR and text stack in my further discussion. But we could move the selected services which needed really fast execution, which needed scalability and performance, and which had a real good impact on the cost. We moved those services to our workflows execution to serverless. DevOps automation and containerization, I think, is no longer a luxury. It's kind of must-have for every organization. Those who are not doing it, you understand the impact on the time to release or catching up on the features that your competition already moving on. So, I mean, this is a no-brainer. Every new application, every existing application, every application that is getting transformed has to have this. We help them with containerization. We help them with account consolidation. We help them with DevOps CI/CD processes and pipelines. Help them with MAP funding, close to 25 to 30% of their actual consulting cost was borne by AWS as a part of my funding. So I mean, this is something, we will not go very deep into this one because we have talked into different webinars on this, but open for any questions on DevOps automation.
Mhm.
Another
And
piece which,
AI ML, yeah, on this AI ML, this has been the most exciting thing in this past few months. Automated document classification based on what kind of documents is coming inside the document management system, how to classify them into invoices and different classifications, how to extract information from each doc. So this is also key, and then processing it into summarization. Just to take a couple of examples there, whether it is you're processing a debt collection kind of a service, for example, and you want to process the incoming natural language on how a particular person would like to repay. Based on that, creating offers dynamically, looking at what kind of offers to create. So these are some of the examples, and we'll give a few more examples. But even in customer satisfaction, customer success, you will see a lot of different kinds of high speed applications that are coming up, where you can have the customer support executive read from a mobile and help a particular person on the phone. So these kinds of, for claim processing, for example, so some of the document processing is online, some of it is in real time. So this is the kind of shift that you're seeing in the market in terms of initiatives in document processing. Okay.
thanks, Sanjay. And lastly, the certification. I mean, the word itself speaks about what it is. Uh, this is literally a bigger piece of work, and you understand the benefit. This is super, super critical for moving from a high cost enterprise solution to a subscription mode SaaS-based solution. So, we help them. This is like really putting in a big team getting it done. So with this, let's move to what we are going to get out of this webinar. We'll understand what different initiatives can be taken for your application. That's the intent why we'll get into into each of the initiatives. What are the business drivers and tentative timeline to accomplish them, and then most importantly, how to implement it. What are challenges you can face, because we will talk about our journey, our mistakes, our challenges, and hopefully that would help. So some of the basics we start with, and the reason talking about basics is just to be on the same page what a document management system is all about. Is a system of process is to capture, track, and store electronic documents such as PDFs, word processing, and this has been there since years. Our customer that we have been working with is one of the top 10 customers on the list that you see on the left hand side. Uh, they are one of the leaders here, and they are in the market for 10 plus years with a monolithic app and then all the initiatives we talked about. And as per recent study, only 10% of the world's 550 billion invoices were exchanged paperless. This is so critical, right? And that means there is a lot of scope for us to get into automation from manual processing. And you will see a lot of companies coming up. It's all about bringing up a more efficient and good solution in this space. Let's skip this slide because why document management application needed. We talked about it. So let's talk the real world. What has been done. The first initiative we talked about is move the document storage. And as Sanju said, I mean, S3 was one of the first services from AWS, has been there for 10 plus years now. And still customers have been using the old way of RDBMS and all to manage the documents. The initiative was to move everything to S3, bucket them in a right way using the right lambdas so that they are bucketed correctly, And with this, what they got is, basically a huge cost saving. Uh, RDBMS cost versus S3 is negligible in that sense. No upfront cost, and they could use it as a cold storage so that they can keep the documents for archival. And AWS has come up with further services like Glaciers and other, on top of S3 to have the faster retrieval, have the faster, data searches in the archived data. So what they got is an enterprise grade storage with managed backup in the store with S3, and the retrieval was super fast. The second initiative was move the document search. Again, if you see the architecture, right, we moved the search to AWS Open Search. We, as a hosted service, the customer, and in a document management platform, since it's all about document, searchability is a super important customer engagement feature, because customer satisfaction, the end user satisfaction, comes from how easily they are able to search a document.
Yeah,
In this
yeah,
customer case, right, the big example was they were processing invoices, account payable in different formats, right? Cash memos, invoices, and account payable data for a big, banking customer. And they had, you know, uh, mil- thousands of invoices. I don't exactly, but even multiple thousand invoices being processed every day. And there, in a month's time, there is, close to, 100,000 invoices that are processed. And now if you have someone to search that invoice or document that got processed in that month or 6 months before, it was pain, because, and then experiences start feeling bad about the experience, right?
yeah.
Overall experience.
Even a single search query that is not going according to the person, very quickly, people who have such amazing experience from Google and now internally they cannot search their documents as even remotely close to those kinds of experiences, it really starts frustrating the customer. So this is a very important business driver, that if your customers are feeling the pain, they want easy search, then implementing Elasticsearch is really important. Okay, so it's a quite enterprise grade platform, and this is something, again, not a lot of cost to get this implemented.
Exactly. And the sales team rated this feature as one of the topmost, upselling feature or renewal feature, because this really engaged the customer a lot. Moving on to initiative 3, and this is again a bigger project comparatively, where we created an entire, gateway for all the third-party ERPs to be integrated as a part of the gateway as an adapter, and then, the client application talking to the gateway.
So here,
And
just to cover the main business driver on this front, the key pain that is faced in professional services, whoever is heading that professional services unit, is this cost. Each and every integration, everybody wants to sell and deliver something to the client quickly, and in that speed of implementation, we end up creating these direct one-to-one integrations, and then now somebody has to support it for so many years, and then that starts really reducing the customer experience, because the code is different for each customer, and this kind of uh, custom implementations in professional services really reduces the time to get back to a client, and that was the primary business driver. Initially it is okay to make some numbers, sales numbers, achieve some numbers, but quickly from a tech perspective you have to get the act together to really have a good quality foundation, and that's what this initiative was, to help people to write the adapters in the right way, have some common code, easier to maintain, automated tests, and that's what, those are the very important things that are required to have a scalable, a scalable unit which is profitable with less costs.
yeah, and just to throw some numbers here, right? From a value perspective, uh, when this integration was not there, this gateway was not there, every sell from, every integration for a client, end customer, is to take close to 6 to 8 weeks by a team of professional services. and now it's reduced to less than a week time frame, right? Where you just have to create the right flows, create the right filters, transformers, adapters are already created. If not, create the adapter one time, and then integrate it for all the customers. So 65% reduction in professional services cost over time, and that was okay. Uh, but from the customer satisfaction and realization of sale, because sale you realize only when you have really done the integration with the customer and they have paid money, right? So when we started talking with this customer, they had $100 million of pipeline of sale, but they would realize only when you are able to deliver that integration. That improved by 4x, and that was game changer for them, because that really helped close more sales and then eventually value realization.
Awesome.
So moving on to initiative 4, which is move to serverless. And we are just taking one example here. Why move to serverless? The driver is faster execution, cost effective skill and performance. The business value is scalability and automatic compute extendability, modularity, faster onboarding, right? So now multiple this in a workflow automation platform, if you understand, there are workflows for every transformation that you do on the top of the document that you receive, right? Now, one of the transformation was, you know, optical character recognition, reading the, PDFs and then extracting the information, mapping it correctly, and then, categorizing them, classifying them, and then putting it in the right bucket, right? I mean, for this use case, uh, we developed an OCR functionality on top of AWS text extract. Uh, where the incoming invoice is processed via the API gateway Lambda, and then AWS text extract would extract the data. Lambda would then do the collection, config, and extraction and mapping of the data, and then putting it into DynamoDB. And beyond, there were multiple other workflows and AI solutions. We'll cover that in the next slide, where we did a lot of NLP and other stuff. But the point coming over here is that as a part of the move to serverless, we had multiple choices, build or buy choices that we had to take. Then, even if we build it, is it serverless way, or do we have to buy a server and buy an off-the-shelf tool, right? So costs versus managed services. So we had to take those decisions, and you know based on the cost, based on the business IP. In some places, we decided to go for managed services the way we did it in this case, where we chose a serverless solution, AWS text extract from AWS. In some cases, it is a commonly available, off-the-shelf tools that we chose. But important is that, deciding on what to move to serverless or managed services so that we get the cost, scale, performance, and faster execution.
Yeah, and this is also useful in some other take specific examples in supply chain automation. So for agricultural produce, when it is moved in from different parts of the world, so all these documents that come along, which need OCR, and then AWS extract to really extract all the information from these documents. And then each of these infrastructures are utilized in at different scales at different times. So scalability over here. So without any performance testing related headaches, here Lambda scales automatically based on how it's implemented. So I think these give you a tremendous edge over using this in multiple different kinds of applications.
Thanks, Sanjay.
Yeah.
So next one is about DevOps automation. And as I said, right, this is no longer, when we started working 5, 6 years back with different customers, this was a good to have thing. They wanted to adopt DevOps, they wanted to write this way, but today it is must have. There were multiple initiatives under DevOps. One of them was containerizing the application. Again, decision started from, you know, is the application ready for containerization? Should we directly move to serverless and skip containers, or should we even go for containers, right? And we have covered that in different webinars about this, so you can, look at our blogs and webinars. But In this customer case, we decided to go ahead with containerization for the ease of upgrade and maintenance. This is a .NET stack, so we had to, make sure that they are on, .NET Core version at least to help with the containerization so that it can run on a Linux platform. For the DevOps perspective, we had the entire CI/CD release process, change management processes, designed and then integrated with their tool of choice, which was in this case, Git, Jenkins, and DevOps in a box, which is one of our accelerators, helped us with ready-to-use, pre-certified quality grade, production grade templates, which could help us deliver this very fast. And for performance and cross-browser testing, we used our product called AI Test, which helped us, you know, run the cross-browser and performance tests uh, as a part of the CI pipeline. What we call is shift left, from a testing perspective, right at the post dev level itself. The application is multi-browser and also the performance tested rather than an afterthought, which is just before the release. Again, another good initiative here was they had 22 accounts, all spread across. I mean, no one had a clue what is happening in each account. There were just bills coming in from AWS. At one point in time, it was 1.6 million ARR, right? They were spending on AWS. And the key was to get a visibility and then structure them, organize them in a right way. So we did an account level consolidation with the root level billing, which is bubbling up from each of the orgs, accounts to organizational units to the root organization. And this has been helping them with good visibility into overall billing, and then optimizing them as by moving to serverless or deciding the spot instances, or even working with AWS to fund some of the programs because of the amount of billing that is being created, right? So since they have a tagging, they have a marking, and they have a right structure, it's easier to talk to even AWS to understand where they can support in the billing and everything. Again, business value, I'm just reading it out, very obvious: automated CI/CD, well-controlled upgrades. Uh, I remember when we started, it was a 6-monthly release cycle, 2 months of QA, failures, regression, and going to that cycle. Today, it is a button click touch because it's all automated pipeline with enough QA automation and powered by AI tests and all. And then capacity being managed realistically rather than holding a big capacity and just paying money to the cloud providers. So that's on AWS, DevOps automation. The last one, where we'll spend some more time, because this is something that we are also very proud of, working with them across multiple aspects of uh, NLP and ML solution that we built up. So Sanjay, you want to start with, and then I'll cover
Yeah,
more.
see, mainly here what we are seeing is mm, very high amounts of usage of how to move fast in terms of processing each of these documents. And recently, we have had a lot of, you might have heard about OpenAI and other such initiatives. When documents are coming in, let's say normal claim processing document, how to process that claim extremely fast. You might have a junior person who is an agent who's talking to the insurance company. So looking at that claim, helping that person with important prompts to make sure all the aspects of making sure the claim will go through, communicating each and every aspect there. So these kinds of entities that are present, that should be present in providing information about a claim. So all this is covered through AI and through NLP. uh, the second example is, if you want to keep the costs down for banking applications, for specifically small accounts, quickly answer some of the questions which some small account holders are sending,
So
answer automatically. Yeah,
yes, Sanjay. So
yeah, Vijay.
and in this, coming back to document management application, right? A typical workflow, and where the opportunities to even bring AI, right? And bring AI from a value of compliance, value of cost, value of business growth, right? where opportunities. So for and I'll just take 2 minutes to go through this workflow and talk about very specific ones. So you receive an account payable invoice via sources like emails, etc. This is how a typical workflow will happen in an organization. Then you filter in allowed doc types and categorize them, right? And allowed doc types can be cash memo, invoices, bills, receipts, pay slips, check, debt note, credit note, vouchers. Now, when someone is sending these emails, today also when I send my invoice to my clients, in addition to that, I also attach my SOW, I attach my some email approvals, I attach my timesheet. Now, who would filter them, right? Because you don't want every document to go through your account payable workflow. You want to only the allowed doc types to go through the workflow. Correct. And that's where this filtering of OCR, NLP, and ML will come into picture, where you are doing, the text extraction. You are understanding what kind of document it is by looking at the data, extracted text, categorizing and classifying them into right buckets, and then having your ML pipeline to make sure that is the trend, it runs to the trend data and the continuous trading is happening. And I'll show you the pipelines uh, in a bit. Then third step is fraud detection. Now we have allowed a document type. Is that invoice forged? Is that invoice, you know, uh, mutilated and whatnot, right? So again, a very big subject in itself, beyond the scope of this webinar. But again, we have been using, NLP and ML technologies, and it's never 100% foolproof because I mean that this world of fraud is ever changing, ever fast. But uh, I mean, even if it solves 10%, I mean, we are talking about real money and real data in that sense. Then rule-based checks, all about if an invoice can be accepted only against POs, then also with certain dollar value, then only accept, right? So if I when I raise invoice to my customer, if there is no PO, I see after 5 days a mail coming to me saying that, hey Vijay, can you attach the PO also to it? Now, assuming that's an automated workflow, the rule-based checks are clearly ejecting my email and sending my reverse email that hey, attach the PO. See the speed and see the whole efficiency. Then data entry into AP system. It can be anything. It can be Oracle, NetSuite, whatnot you are using. And then identification of errors after data entry, which is very obvious, which can be include lots or misplaced invoices, duplicate data, poor data entry, all this. Then approvals, payments, records, reporting, analytics. Now in all these, you know, the one which are in orange were done lot manual or lot in an isolated rudimentary way of doing things with some efficiency. We spotted them as an opportunity to innovate, bring in efficiency, compliance, and cost effectiveness. And these are the solutions that we are building for a customer. I mean, and I'm sure in any other workflow, you should be able to spot these areas and then figure out how to make it more compliant and better. More details on this, I'll skip this. And Sanju covered, for similar scenarios in the customer success world. I was talking about document processing world. Here it is in the customer success world, and Sanju talked about how an AI prompt can help a caller, an agent, to do a better call management and utilize his time effectively. Those who have called any of the IVRs in US would understand what I'm saying. When uh, just to get a customer support on the call via an IVR, you have to wait for 40 minutes. And then suddenly you realize that you have not asked all the questions. And then you lost time because again, another 40 minutes. Now it is an agent's time wasted. He is waiting on the call and he forgot to ask some on the important questions. With this AI solution, you are getting a prompt because it's listening to you what you are asking. It automatically understands that out of these 10 questions, you just could ask 2 questions. 2 was auto answered by the customer support because they were in context. But 6 of them are important you are not asking. It will prompt you on the UI so that you are not missing them when you are answering those, asking those questions correctly. Similarly, you know, in the agent assist case, again, prompt-based assistance, making sure that, you know, in this agent assist, there's a real agent support team at the, other end. In the IVR call, it may be just an IVR, which can be on automatically, you can get the data. But These are again very small use cases in a customer success team. You can think of a lot of more use cases, how it can make our customers support and customer success team more efficient and more useful. And there can be more solutions like this that we can build around with AI ML in context. So
Yes.
that's it for today. So
Yeah, so these are exciting times. I would call it like this is the year of AI/ML, where it's really going to take off. So each of these initiatives have saved significant amount of time and money, and so please think about that. And if you have any questions, any help that you require, please don't hesitate to connect with us. Okay, thank you. Have a great day.